Hey guys, just a little bit of a quick question here. Um, you know, I know a lot of us, you know, we, okay, I know a lot of us older fans grew up, in the 80s. We grew up in the 80s, so we pretty much can appreciate that, just like it said in Wikipedia, and I found this out by looking up this information, we can appreciate that Friendship is Magic, as I said in one video, kind of gives us that nostalgic feel. Because it feels like it's something that could, be showcased in the 80s and the 90s and still be a success. And as I read in a Wikipedia article, that's exactly what Lauren Faust had in mind when she came up with the concept for it. To give it that feel that older generation fans could be like, hey, that feels very familiar, if not identical to what we grew up on. Excuse me there. So that brings me up to my topic here, and you can see the title up there. And I've already typed this up at several forums, Facebook page, Twitter. But my question is this. One thing that G4, Friendship is Magic, has done lately is they brought in their own G4 interpretation of characters. Characters of G1, that is. They brought in their own interpretation of G1 characters. From Turek, they've mentioned Scorpan, there's references to Gorgon, I think, coming, or, that's been tossed around. Brought in their own interpretation of the Smooths. These little creatures at the beginning, or in the second part of the Season 8 premiere, were like this interpretations of whatever those colorful creatures were in G1. Like, that was their interpretation. And heck, we've even seen interpretation now of the sea ponies. So, with all that said, and I've mentioned several times that I'd be surprised if they didn't go the route of bringing in human character Megan down the line. But if that's not the case, there is one character responsible for Megan's appearance in G1, for bringing her in. That's FireFly. Now we know that FireFly was referenced, I think, in the testing episode, I believe. I'm not really sure, but she was referenced, I believe, in that testing 1, 2, 3 episode, where Rainbow Dash had to take that test. I think she was referenced there. And that got me thinking. Well, it didn't get me thinking, but this got me thinking because I was watching, as I mentioned in another video, I was watching Retro Crunch's 4-parter, 4 individual video parts of every intro from the 80s. They're going alphabetically, by the way, if you want to know. And they got to the, they got to the M's, if you will. They got to the M's. And when they got to the M's, they, of course, got to My Little Pony G1. But it wasn't the G1 intro for the series, no. It was the G1 intro for Rescue at Midnight Castle, or Rescue from Midnight Castle, or as it's known on VHS, Firefly's Adventure. And as I was watching this, it got into the intro, and then the narrator came up with the introduction of who the voice actors were. And the first one that came up was Sandy Duncan. And I'm thinking, Sandy Duncan? What? And I'm thinking, well, who is she? So I looked it up. Who did she portray? And I looked it up, and I found out that she portrayed FireFly. And that it wasn't the first time either. Or it wasn't the first or last time. I found out that Sandy Duncan also portrayed FireFly in the regular series. So I came up with this question, and you can see it here. But if G4, Friendship is Magic, in the last possible season, which potentially is season 9, if FireFly was to make a return in season 9, should Sandy Duncan voice her again, or reprise her role as FireFly? Should she, Sandy Duncan, if she can, some people are doubtful, could Sandy Duncan come back and reprise her voice as FireFly? Again, some people are doubtful that she could be able to do it, because she's, what, 72 now? But I think she could. I think she really could, because think about it. Just because you're at a certain age doesn't mean you can't voice a character the way you used to. But the question that I had was, could she reprise the voice of Firefly if Firefly was brought in season 9? It makes you, because I'm thinking, you know what, Firefly gets referenced, but yet we don't see her. We've never seen her, and yet what gets me is everything else has been referenced, and we've kind of finally seen physical appearances of characters and things referenced. So, could Firefly be next on the list? Makes you wonder. It makes you wonder if Firefly is next on the list. But I would, excuse me. But I would like to hear your thoughts on it. Do you think Sandy Duncan, at the age of 72, currently is sorry about that, but like I said, who is currently on Broadway in the musical Love Letters, and has also recently made appearances on Law and Order Special Victims Unit as a judge? I think she could make a return as the voice of Firefly. Whether it's an older Firefly reminiscing about her times as part of the Wonderbolts, and maybe wanting to have one last run, or do you think she could reprise Firefly in a flashback episode? Like maybe they flash back and talk about who Firefly was or is. Do you think honestly, anybody watching, do you think Sandy Duncan could revoice Firefly, reprise that voice, if season 9 was to finally, visually and physically introduce Firefly into G4? What do you think? Me, I think she can do it. I think it doesn't matter how old she is. I think, given the opportunity, she can do it. You know, because there have been times where people will be doubtful, can this person reprise their role, like they used to, voice-wise and everything, and guess what? They're able to still do it. So my question to you is, do you think Sandy Duncan could do Firefly once again? I believe she can. What do you guys think? Let me know down below. Comment if you like. I'd like to hear from you, and I'll talk to y'all later. God bless. Take care.